Brigham Young University, a place of learning, growth, and the pursuit of excellence. But behind the iconic buildings and vibrant campus lie stories of vision, dedication, and extraordinary generosity. This is the story of Jack and Mary Lois Wheatley, two individuals whose unwavering commitment to faith and education have left an indelible mark on this institution, shaping its very landscape and future. From their distinct backgrounds, Jack and Mary Lois learned the values of hard work, integrity, and the importance of giving back. Jack, with his West Point training and sharp business acumen, and Mary Lois, with her artistic eye and deep compassion, formed a partnership built on shared values and a desire to make a difference. Their impact on BYU is profound. From the breathtaking beauty of the campus grounds, adorned with thousands of trees they donated, to the inspiring works of art housed in the museum they helped establish, their influence is woven into the fabric of the university. But their legacy extends beyond the physical. Their vision for strengthening the core institutions of society lives on through the Wheatley Institute, a place where ideas are explored and future leaders are shaped. This is their story, a story of faith, vision, and the enduring power of generosity. A story that continues to inspire and uplift the BYU community.
My parents came from very different backgrounds. My father from a farm, just scraping by, and my mom from a city life with all the advantages that come with that.
Growing up, his older brothers and sisters all considered him the baby of the family, and he was spoiled to death. But by any of our standards, they lived a very simple life of poverty during World War II and the Depression.
My dad really learned how to work hard from a very young age. He was the youngest of 5 siblings. Life on the farm was tough in the Depression. He never remembers not having what they needed, but they worked for it.
He said he never felt like he was poor because his mother was always taking food to other people. That was his gauge of they were not the poor ones. He learned the value of money. Wasting was not part of his culture. He always wanted to spend his money on something of worth.
One of my dad's best days of his life, he told me, was the day that they swapped out 24 horses for a tractor. That was a big deal.
Growing up, he learned the value of education. His mother had had an education. His father had never had a chance to have an education. And his mother, despite their circumstances, was determined that her children would pursue and have some education.
And my dad, first significant thing for him is he went to a two-room schoolhouse in Robin, Idaho. And he had a sharp mind, so he skipped a grade and did well in school, but his parents were concerned that he might need a better education. So when he started high school, they moved into Pocatello, Idaho.
He was scared to death to come off the farm and even go to high school in Pocatello. That was completely intimidating. He'd graduated from elementary school as valedictorian of a class of 6. So he had a lot of desire to excel, but he had not been in a large pond. And Pocatello High School was challenging, but he had learned to work hard.
He went to high school there, he graduated, but he was too young to go in the Army. World War II was on while he was in high school. And so he started at Idaho State, what is now Idaho State University. Chemistry professor took interest in him and suggested he should apply for an appointment to the U.S. Military Academy. He got that appointment, and so a farm boy from Idaho went to the state of New York to go to the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. He would say that's one of the defining moments of his life, because there he learned discipline, how to get things done, and also West Point inculcated principles of duty, honor, country in him.
When a job had to be done, you stayed until the job was done, no matter how long it took. And that self-discipline, I think, went throughout his career, and that ability to sacrifice for other people.
And so that's sort of the start of the civic spirit, and serving others is from there. Also, he would say that's one of the most important periods of his life, because at church in Manhattan, he met my mother.
My parents complemented each other. My dad was very practical and business-minded and organized, and my mom brought grace and beauty and art into everything that she did.
She grew up in Salt Lake City in a home that I would say had a lot of refinement in it, especially in the arts and music.
My mother was shaped quite heavily by her experience at the University of Utah under a professor named Alvin Gittins that really took her under his wing and taught her how to be an excellent portrait artist, among other things, and also helped her to move on to the Art Students League in New York City, where she studied art and honed her skills.
So that sets the stage for both of them to meet. You couldn't probably have two more different people, but they met and dated.
After graduating from West Point, about 3 weeks later, the Korean War broke out, so my dad's whole class was shipped overseas to Korea, and he served there for about 1.5 years.
I think this had a significant impact on him because there he developed leadership qualities. He led men in combat and constructing bridges and demolishing bridges and buildings. And so I think you really become a leader. I think it also developed him spiritually. He said he spent a lot of time in his tent reading the Book of Mormon, so he could survive spiritually.
After my dad's time in Korea, he came home and was happy to find that my mother was still available. And they were married shortly thereafter in April of 1952. My dad stayed in the Army for his committed service, and after that decided he wanted to get out on his own and do more things.
I think he had more of an entrepreneurial spirit, and he wanted something better for his family than just moving every few months where the Army assigned him. And so he left the Army after completing his 4 required years.
Moving to the Bay Area in the 1950s to build things was a great decision. The location was great. Of course, the climate was great. It was a great place to raise a family. So I think they were really blessed in their choice of where to go. By the time they got to California, they had 2 children and 4 more were on the way. And that was a big part of their life, obviously. We did many things together. One of my favorite stories of my mom is we were staying in a condo at Lake Tahoe and on Valentine's Day, and my mother wanted to give Valentine's and come to the door one at a time for each child and was doing that. And she would go and hide in a closet in this lobby area outside of the condo door. And in the middle of this process, some people came and sat in the lobby and she could hear them talking. She didn't quite know what to do. And after about 20, 30 minutes in the closet, she came out and just said, "Hello," and walked away. And we thought that was pretty funny. My mom was a very funny person, really, and would keep people laughing. And that always helped to lighten things up and to not take ourselves too seriously. A lot of our time together was spent with extended family, coming back to Utah or Idaho and spending time up in the mountains with them.
My dad always appreciated his roots and always loved Idaho. You can take the boy off the farm, but you can't take the farm off the boy. And so one morning he came in to wake me up and he had on his cowboy boots and his cowboy hat, and he was just very excited. He said, "I'm going to Idaho today, Mary." So I think it was always a part of who he was. He had the work ethic, and he had the drive to achieve his goals. And I think that's something that he learned on the farm. You just work at whatever the job is, and you work until it's done.
He formed a new company with his brother. That was a great time to start building in Silicon Valley as it was just beginning to take root. A turning point as he wanted to grow the company larger is the company he was partners with in Salt Lake City. He went to them and asked if they would joint venture when he wanted to bid on the Oakland Temple.
With the contract for the Oakland Temple, he was greatly blessed with amazing mentors, both at Jacobson and also at the church, who would send people down to check out what this young project manager was doing. He learned to build things with a total different level of quality and excellence, which stayed with him for the rest of his life and all the things he did. And I think that really helped him in the rest of his career to see what could be done and how well things could be done. One other blessing is they moved into the ward of Elder David B. Haight, who was their stake president. And I think he became a mentor to my dad spiritually. And my dad wanted to follow in his footsteps. And he ended up following in his footsteps, becoming bishop of the Palo Alto ward and also becoming mayor of Palo Alto as Elder Haight had become.
During my high school years, my dad was simultaneously running a construction business One time they even opened a bank. And then he was mayor on the city council first and then mayor. And he was also bishop. And so it was kind of a joke at our house. It was back when you had the phone on the wall. And when the phone on the wall rang, what they said, if it was Mayor Wheatley or Bishop Wheatley or Mr. Wheatley, to trying to decide who this was that was wanting to look for him.
We've had the great privilege to interact with Jack and Mary Lois in many different circumstances. Some of my very favorite memories are when we were in Carmel together and we would get up early. Jack would say, "Would you like to walk with me on the beach?" And walk with me on the beach meant 6 o'clock in the morning or very early. And the beaches were empty and we would walk at a very brisk pace and talk. And I remember him saying, "You know, Gerrit, if you get up early and work hard, you can accomplish more in a day than most people can do by noontime."
He got into politics because of seeing a need, seeing that there just wasn't leadership there that would take the city to the right place.
His whole focus was on blessing people around him. Everything he did was trying to say, in the spirit of the Lord Jesus Christ, how can I bless those who are around me? He was a great disciple of Jesus Christ, a wonderful gospel example.
That's when the war just really incited all kinds of protests and rallies, and nobody was doing much calm speech. Everyone was yelling and screaming and had their signs and their chants. It was also an education to listen to the people who could remain calm, and I had a lot of appreciation for my dad. He stayed calm and he remained true to what he thought was right, and it must have been very infuriating to them that he listened. If he felt like something was right, he stayed with it.
Another big change in our family was when my dad was called to be mission president. At the time, just myself and my little sister were left at home, and I wasn't happy because it meant leaving in the middle of high school to go somewhere else. But my parents' mission to Colorado really changed them in significant ways.
I think everyone's mission call comes at a pivotal time in their life, and his did. It came at a very pivotal time. Here he was expanding and having all this huge success, and he's asked to take 3 years to just step away from it and maybe let it sift down and think about his priorities. And he never was the same after that.
It focused their whole life towards spiritual things, towards the scriptures. My mom became an amazing scriptorian. My dad was focused always on reaching out to others and sharing the gospel. And he had already had some experience in business, bringing others into the gospel, including his secretary and some of his subcontractors. But from the time in Colorado on, he was just on fire, and even went on to serve as stake mission president, ward mission leader, and all sorts of callings related to missionary work.
And it wasn't that they were preachy and wanted to baptize people. It was that they just wanted to share their true love, their true Christ-like love with those around them. And they just shared their message and the gospel with their friends around them, longtime acquaintances, subcontractors, plumbers, electricians. Many people, because they had a true love and people felt that.
I had the great fortune when I was a youth to live in the same mission where Jack and Mary Lois were mission leaders. And so they were a presence in church meetings, state conferences, and the kids were going to school at the adjacent high school where I was attending. And one thing that really stood out about the Wheatleys was their commitment to family. You could see that even though he was busy with mission assignments, that family came first. And you see that in the legacy that they've created. We see that today, that the family continues to be unified around the same ideals and objectives that Jack and Mary Lois had.
The other change that came from the mission was my dad's desire to earn money. After his mission, he wasn't sure if he wanted to go back to focus on earning money. But after receiving some counsel, he decided he could do the most good for the church and for the world by going back to his business in California. And of course, in the 80s in California, in the Bay Area, it was a great place to be. And he was able to flourish.
He had a strong sense of stewardship, that everything, his talents, his time here on earth, all of the resources that came so easily to him, that was his stewardship.
Having a construction company right in the shadow of Stanford University influenced him to start looking at ways he could give back. He got involved in Stanford both with scholarships, but also with beautification. In their main quad on campus, he and his partner helped support that project to make that just an amazing space. In the early 70s, when my parents sent their first child off to BYU to go to college, my dad was quite disappointed in the landscaping on campus. There had just been a big boom of buildings in the 60s, but not a lot of trees and landscaping to go with that.
And so he suggested that they plant more trees. And that was the start really of his involvement at BYU.
My dad's desire to add beauty to his buildings and at BYU really can be attributed to my mother, who helped him see that the utilitarian function wasn't the only thing that mattered, but beauty and in nature and in one's surroundings could really make a difference in your life. And my dad just didn't write a check. He wanted to come walk around the campus with the facilities people and help decide which trees and what trees and how to landscape.
My father, he didn't want to just give people things. He wanted to help people, but part of that was them learning for themselves, part of them learning how to do it themselves, and learning the value of hard work. You know, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. You know, teach a man to fish and he'll eat for the rest of his life. I think that was, part of my father's philosophy.
My father believed that philanthropy was best done when you combined your financial contribution with your time and your talents to bring about something greater than you could otherwise.
Jack was someone who was always focused on blessing other people and very focused on family. And those are some of the many reasons that we've loved and admired him and are so grateful for what he and Mary Lois and the Wheatley family have done across the church, but especially at BYU.
Really, they caught the mission of BYU and got excited about what was going on here, both from their philanthropy and their connections there, but also through their children and their children's desire to be here. Another project that just was a perfect combination of my parents' talents and abilities was the BYU Museum of Art. The way the museum came to be started with a conversation between my father and President Holland. It was near the end of President Holland's term, and my father caught him in his backyard, and they sat down, and my father asked him, what does BYU really need? What is your biggest priority? And President Holland thought for a moment and said, we need a museum of art because we have a lot of great works of art that have been donated to the campus, and we have nowhere to put them, nowhere to curate them, nowhere to show them. The Museum of Art brought my mother's talents in the artistic world and my father's abilities with building to a perfect combination.
My mother, everything that she did was surrounded by beauty. Art was a part of our life. She had lots of art books, and we would visit art museums, and she filled our home with paintings, or she was painting us.
My father had never built a museum before, but that didn't stop him. He went with some others and traveled to all the top museums in the country and learned about what a museum needs, what's important, how to store works of art, how to present works of art, and was involved every step of the way in designing that project in the building. One of my mother's chief contributions to the Museum of Art is the large windows that are on the main entrance into the museum. If you look out those windows, you'll see the mountains. The original museum didn't have those big windows there, and my mother thought, no, we need to show the mountains. We need to walk out and see the mountains and the beauty of the mountains in combination with what you've seen on the inside. In addition to helping with the building of the museum, my parents also wanted to help BYU acquire pieces of art that would make a difference. And my father would say that his best investment of all time was helping to acquire the Healing at the Pool of Bethesda painting because of the impact that they saw and could envision it would have on students and all who would come into the museum and sit and take that painting in.
And I think not only did he feel like he was honoring my mother's legacy of art and beauty by building the art museum and seeing that to fruition, but I think he felt like he wanted a statement that said, this university is centered on Christ. And so to be able to have that enormous Carl Bloch painting that is bigger than life right there at the front, I think that meant a lot to him for that reason.
The acquisition of Bloch's work, The Healing at the Pool of Bethesda, really was a miracle in the fact that it could even be acquired, and then getting it here right before 9/11 and having it on display as a centerpiece of the museum has really been a blessing, I think, to many people.
Another thing that characterized my dad was he was never one to lament problems. A lot of people talk about how politics is going to the dogs, how this is, problem or that problem. He was never one to sit and lament. He was always a doer. If you had a problem in your field, you went out and you addressed it. And if he saw a problem, he always wanted to do something about it. He was visionary in the way he could see trends, he could visualize easily and see the root problems of things, not just the surface. And he could see where things were going off track. He could see how to do things and how to get them back on track.
More and more, as he got involved with BYU, he thought it'd be great to have a Wheatley Institute that would have the values of family, religion, and things that could be promoted in a civic manner so that it would be available to all people.
I think that Jack and Mary Lois Wheatley were very concerned about where they saw institutions going. They saw how families were disintegrating and failing to form. They were concerned about what they saw about rule of law and respect for our constitutional order. The Wheatleys wanted their investment in Wheatley Institute to make a significant difference.
He always felt like you should collaborate with anyone who had your same values. And so he could bring voices from outside our church circle, but voices who were trying to fight for the same values. He felt like that was important, and that could be done at the Wheatley Institute.
He loved the idea of a scholar that could hold firm to all his beliefs and things, but could have a great discussions with other people and help people understand their beliefs. I think that helped him want to have the Wheatley Institute, because there scholars could come of our faith and of other faiths that shared the same values and have great discussion and learn together.
I think the vision of the Wheatley Institution was that there would be a place for students and scholars to have a place where they could understand and pursue truth with the desire to be a blessing to those around them. I think it was a sense that there was a mentorship that was possible, that there was a way for people to come from different institutions and different countries and different backgrounds and to find a home on the BYU campus, a welcoming place. But that place was not just a physical place, it was a place of scholarship and of even spiritual communion, a sense of gathering people whose hearts would be connected in love and connected in the pursuit of that which was virtuous and good and true.
And he felt like the Wheatley Institute could do that by some solid research to counteract the voices of the world.
Jack and Mary Lois Wheatley were very modest people. Jack was very careful, with just one or two exceptions, to do a great deal of good but not to put his name on it. The Wheatley Institution is one of the few exceptions where he had his name, because I think he wanted to show that his concern for generations of students at BYU was something that he felt very passionately and personally about. I think he wanted students at BYU to feel that they could pursue truth, that they could enter to learn and go forth to serve in a very genuine and deep way. I think he wanted there to be a sense that there was an ongoing legacy of scholarship with faith that would be a blessing to the students, but also to the families of the students and to the people that the students would interact with throughout their lives and their communities and their church and in their countries.
My dad's vision for the Wheatley Institute was to be a place on campus that could bring important ideas together to bless both the campus community and the world. My dad felt that the Wheatley Institute could take the message of BYU and the church and the values that we stand for out into the world in a way that maybe the university itself or the church itself couldn't do.
When I think about Jack and Mary Lois Wheatley, I think about honor, I think about integrity, and I think about quiet dignity. The way that they went about doing good was in a way that didn't draw attention to themselves, but was always super effective.
Robert shared a picture of my dad next to a horse, and he was just looking happy, and Robert mentioned that my dad was confident not only in his abilities to ride a horse, but was confident in his later years of how he had lived his life, and proud of the decisions, the consistently good decisions that he'd made, and proud of the example that he'd set for his family, for the community, for the church, for just everything. He was happy and satisfied and confident with the way that he had lived his life.
Jack Wheatley is an example of a disciple of Jesus Christ. He was a cadet at West Point. He understood duty and honor and country, and maybe most importantly, he understood testimony and faith. Everything he did was done in a spirit of trying to bless those around him. It was done with a humble spirit, a spirit of a great desire to be of service to those around him. He worked very hard, and he worked very smart. He had great skill in bringing together architecture and ability to visualize things. I think with Mary Lois's good influence, he had a sense of beauty. Many of the trees on the BYU campus are a gift of Mary Lois and Jack Wheatley. The museum is a gift of Mary Lois and Jack Wheatley. It's not the physical things, it was the spiritual feeling, the sense of beauty, the sense of order, the sense of goodness that I think Jack and Mary Lois exemplify.